Good morning, everybody. You know this one, you can sing it with me. We have come together in family. We have come here as we are. Oh, we have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Oh, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof for shouts of praise, Spirit's in this place. We sing with words of celebration. We sing with words of prayer. Oh, we affirm our life is sacred. We declare that peace is here. Ooh. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof for shouts of praise, Spirit's in this place. All right, here we go, you guys. Yeah, 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 yeah. Sing it with me. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof for shouts of praise, Spirit's in this place. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, beloveds. I am Reverend Jeffrey K. Aloha Ryan. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to serve this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where love lives here. It is an honor to be with you this morning. It is the very first Sunday of June, so we want to send a shout out to everybody who is celebrating birthdays this month. Happy birthday to each and every one of you, and to those of you celebrating anniversaries this month, we honor you and we celebrate you and your love as well. So good morning. Good morning, Earl, Neil, Livier. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, John. Good morning, Dick. We see a lot of you showing up. Good morning to one and all. It is great to have you with us. If you are joining us on Facebook Live, I do invite you to go ahead and start a watch party that invites other folks to join you and share in this morning's experience with you. By you doing that, you're sharing our spiritual community, your spiritual community, with the world. And that is a wonderful thing for us to be able to share our message of love, our message of hope, our message of inspiration with other folks in our lives. So I thank you for that. And as you do that, I invite you to use hashtag #WeAreCSL and hashtag #LoveLivesHere. So this morning we are going to kick off, as we have been for a few weeks here now, with our theme song, Love Lives Here, written by our very own Jabel Obian. And what a joy it is to sing this all together. So I invite you to sing this in wherever you're seated, wherever you're watching this, and feel the message of what is present here in this song to really resonate through every cell and every fiber of your being, because we know that love truly does live right here. Take it away, Jabel.
All right, I know you know it because I've sung it to you over and over, so let's do it together. When the world gets you down and you're feeling lonely, when you can't find your truth or find your center, there are many here who gather together. Unconditionally, we love each other, and the scars that we see just make us stronger. We breathe it in together, we'll hold you up with grace. We know that love lives here in you and me. Love lives here, my soul breaks free. I'm so excited to be united with you. Where love lives, where love lives. When life gets you down, you can't see the future. When it all seems too much for you to handle, there are many here who gather together. Unconditionally, we pray together, and the hurt that you feel will breathe set free. We breathe it in together, we'll hold you up with grace. You know that love lives here in you and me. Love lives here, my soul breaks free. I'm so excited to be united with you. Where love lives, where love lives, where love lives. I have faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith. I have faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith. I have hope, I pray hope, I choose hope, I am hope. I have hope, I pray hope, I choose hope, I am hope. I pray faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith. I have faith, I pray faith, I choose faith, I am faith. I have love, I have love, I pray love, I choose love, I am love. I have love, I pray love, I choose love, I am love.
Good morning, beautiful community. I'm Susie Ammons. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner for the Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm inviting you right now to join me in a prayer in our invocation. I'm inviting you to breathe, taking a long, slow breath this Sunday morning, this very special time of our existence. And as I breathe, I open my heart and my mind. And I'm aware there is a divine presence, the one presence that contains all. It is that unconditional love, the love that has room for all. It is infinite love. And it is peace, a peace that is not disturbed. It is the peace that is eternal, that has been present before time. It is the peace that causes. It is a causative element. It is power, a power for all, and abundance. It knows no lack. It is the sacred enoughness. And it is wisdom, a divine intelligence in back of all life. And it knows its way. It knows how. And I am one with this unconditional love, this power, this peace, abundance, and this knowing, this divine intelligence. And so are each connected into this meeting without barriers, this meeting of sacred connection. And I open my mind and heart more, allowing the truth of my, allowing love that surrounds every one of us. Room for every political, every color, for every difference. Room for every pain experienced. Room for every pain we've yet to look at. Room for healing. Room for understanding of each other. Love is active right now. It has room for every one of our breaths. Room for breaths seemingly silenced. Every breath, life. It has room for every goodness. There is enough. And I open my heart to this service today. Words spoken by Reverend to Bell, to the listening, the words that do not have boundaries, the words that are for all. I invite you to affirm this with me, and so it is.
Sometimes you just can't believe the things your eyes see. So much injustice in this life happening right on your TV screen. So you drop to your knees and you're praying. You hear him saying he can't breathe. It's all so overwhelming, cause you know there's nothing you can do to help it. Continue to breathe, continue to breathe. In times like these, it's what your heart is for. Continue to breathe in honor of your brother. That's what your heart is for. There's always someone trying to take someone's power away. The history of the world is violent. Will it ever change? Now we're living in a time where you just can't hide. Camera in every hand. It's not elusive, even they treat you like you're useless. We know that what the truth is. Continue to breathe, continue to breathe. In times like these, that's what your heart is for. Continue to breathe in honor of your brother. That's what your heart is for. Fight for your life, fight for your life. In the face of society that doesn't value your life, for the man in your life, for the boys in your life, for your brothers, for your fathers, for the ones that came before us, for the future, for our future. Continue to breathe, continue to breathe. In times like these, that's what your heart is for. Continue to breathe in honor of your brother. That's what your heart is for. In times like these, continue to breathe. In times like these, continue to breathe for your brother, for your sister, in honor of your brother. That's what your heart is for. Continue to breathe, continue to breathe, continue to breathe.
And so we continue to breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. Allowing ourselves to be breathed by the one life. And so this morning, I invite you to breathe into and breathe life into our focus statement. So we've got that on the screen here for you. Let's say it together. Breathing the life of it. Breathe life into it. Breathe it out into existence in the world. Here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Let's do it one more time. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. So this year here at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, we are working with the theme of 2020 spiritual vision, and which should mean, or does mean, clarity, right? That if we have 2020 vision, especially if we have 2020 spiritual vision, then there is an inherent element of clarity. There is an inherent element of guidance. There's an inherent element of divine wisdom and intelligence that is making itself known to us and through us as us in every moment of our lives. And this month, our theme for the month is mindfulness for mavericks. So I want to pause here for a moment and let's look at what mindfulness for mavericks might be and what you might think of that to be here. So when we think of a maverick, right, how we define that word, when you hear that word, what is it that maverick brings to mind for you, right? For some, it's just an unbranded calf. It's just a calf that doesn't have a brand on it. For others, it could be a trailblazer. For others, it could be a road. For others, it could be independent thinkers or independent ideas, people having their own ideas, their own independent ways of being, their own independent ways of acting, and acting in an independent way. It could mean that they often behave differently than what's expected. And those things aren't necessarily bad things, because those things, when you look at it from that perspective, it could be a trendsetter, right? It could be an innovator. It could be a holy disruptor, if you will, right? So looking at a maverick from this kind of perspective is an opportunity to really look at ourselves and to see how we might identify individually and as Riverside Center for Spiritual Living and as our organization worldwide as a maverick, right? Being cutting edge, being a leader, being on the front edge, the leading edge of something, and calling folks higher, acting in ways and behaving in ways that are kind of unexpected. Ernest Holmes certainly did that. Jesus the Christ certainly did that. Buddha certainly did that. They too could be called mavericks. Martin Luther King certainly did that. Gandhi certainly did that. Mother Teresa certainly did that. They too could be considered mavericks, right? And so I was looking at maverick and really sitting with that, and I found this great website called Mavericks Unlimited. And they had several ideas of what a maverick is, and a maverick traits of a maverick, if you will. So I want to share some of those with you this morning. First of all, they say that a maverick chooses to see the world through their own eyes, or with their own eyes, not necessarily through, but chooses to see the world with their own eyes. So what does that mean? When we choose to see the world with our own eyes, we choose to be awake, we choose to be aware, we choose to be open to possibility, and we look at life as it is, and we get proximate with it. We're not looking for somebody else to tell us. We're not looking for somebody else to show us. We're not looking for somebody else to impose their ideas upon us, but rather, as a maverick, we choose to step into, we choose to get proximate with the ideas, we choose to get proximate with life itself, we choose to experience life itself, get proximate with it, and then by getting proximate with life, then we begin to formulate what our beliefs are about the way things are, or we begin to formulate our beliefs, our ideas about life itself. And a maverick tends to be very convicted. They have strong convictions in their ideas and in their opinions. And they are not necessarily afraid to share those ideas or those opinions. They're not afraid to challenge the status quo because they're coming from a place of deep knowing. We're coming from a place of deep knowing if we identify as a maverick. That what we believe is that we recognize that there is a strong vision that is guiding us. There is a strong vision that is pulling us. And we have full faith and full belief in that vision, we have conviction in that vision, and we allow that vision to pull us forward. And we have great intuition. As mavericks, we turn within and we listen to that divine wisdom. We listen to the infinite love, intelligence that resides right in the center of who we are, that is the very essence of who we are. We know to become silent, to be still, and to listen, because as we shared weeks ago, God is the only answer, Spirit is the only answer, so that when we turn within, whenever we are faced with a challenge, when we are faced with a problem, we turn within and we listen to what Spirit would have us know. Because what we know is that we cannot solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. We cannot think our way out of it. But what we also know is that when a problem exists, or when a situation exists, a challenge exists, then the solution to that problem, the solution to that situation already exists. It already exists because the problem is there, so the solution must already exist as well. So we have to tap into that. We have the opportunity to be still, be quiet, and tap into Spirit, tap into the highest idea and listen. And what that listening also means is that we listen to one another, that we enter into a conversation, that we recognize that we are, even though, yes, we are independent thinkers, we recognize that we are wholly, completely one with each other, that there is this totality of being that each one of us is a part of, that truly we are brothers, sisters, and siblings in this life, that there is only this one life expressing as each one of us. And so therefore, I see myself in you, and you see yourself in me, that we see ourselves in each other. We recognize the divinity within each other. We recognize the who of who each one is. And we move from that place. So we move then as mavericks from a place of compassion. We move from a place of passion. We move from a place of being tender-hearted. We move from a place of being truly vulnerable and truly authentic with one another. And we open up and we allow and we move forward from that. But we take action. A maverick does not just sit on their meditation cushion the whole life and just sit and ponder. A maverick takes action. A maverick sees that there is something to do, and a mindful maverick comes from it from a very centered and grounded place. That first we must be grounded in spiritual truth. We must be grounded in our principles. And then we must align ourselves, and we must have a sturdy core center to be able to then move, to then be able to take action, so that when the winds of change or anything begins to happen, or we experience or we encounter things, that we are grounded first and we are centered, and being grounded and centered allows us then to act from a place of love, allows us then to act from a place of power. Because we are connected and fully aligned with the one power. And what we know is that one with God, one with Spirit is a majority. And so none of these things come nigh my dwelling place, because I am grounded and centered in Spirit. And I act from that place. And I allow Spirit, the mindfulness of Spirit, to guide and direct my words, to guide and direct my intentions, to guide and direct my actions. And so this month we will be discussing, as the weeks unfold. Next week, we'll be talking about mindful intentions. The following week, we'll be talking about mindful speech. And the following week, we'll be talking about mindful actions. And today, we are talking about breathing. Breathing. Once again, I am in awe of Spirit, the way Spirit works. I am in awe of watching it unfold. I am in awe of paying attention to divinity in action, to love in action. Last year, when we were creating the themes, I was on the themes team, as I mentioned before. When we were creating the themes team, we looked at the month of June and we said, you know what, we're going to talk about mindfulness. And we're going to talk about mindfulness from a place of, and for trailblazers, a mindfulness from a place of, for innovators, mindfulness from our organization willing to step forward and take action, to be active in the world, to no longer be the best kept secret. That's what we're going to do. And so when we created the themes, I found it, when I was sitting and preparing for today, I was just like, wow, the theme that we chose last summer was just breathe, or simply breathe. And how poignant and apropos that is to this moment, when George Floyd's last words on this planet were, "I can't breathe." When so many have taken to the streets, using their breath, using their voice to express those feelings, I can't breathe. To express the feelings, the collective of a society, that we can't breathe. To express the ideas and the feelings of a people, we can't breathe. And this week, I've watched my feeds, the different feeds that I have, I've watched them, and I've seen people jump in and say things like, don't affirm that. You know, all these young people should be affirming, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. They should be affirming that because the universe is hearing that. And then what's going to happen by the law of attraction is, you know, then they really won't be able to breathe anymore because they keep saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. What they should be saying is, I can breathe, we can breathe. And I have been shaking my head because they don't get it. They don't get the deeper principle. And they, I mean, the people who are saying they shouldn't be saying that. Because as Reverend Kevin Ross from Unity of Sacramento said in a recent interview with Michael Bernard Beckwith, we cannot fix what we cannot face. We cannot heal what we cannot hear. And so by ignoring the cry, by ignoring the plea, by ignoring people expressing real pain in real time, authentically, in the way of a maverick, calling truth to power, speaking truth to power, challenging the status quo, if we cannot hear that, if people cannot express themselves the way they are being called to express, and we cannot hear it, then we certainly cannot heal anything. The first way to heal anything is to look at it. We have to admit that we are sick. We have to admit that we have a problem. We have to admit that there is and has been this sickness, this disease in our country for over 400 years. And we have to listen, and we have to hear, and we have to acknowledge. If we are so quick to just go, oh no, we should be saying we can breathe, we can breathe, we can breathe. We can affirm that, we can believe that. The universe responds to what you believe. Saying we can breathe when it doesn't ring true is speaking words into a vacuum. As I said last week, our faith tradition teaches us how to deconstruct our false beliefs, how to deconstruct our false narratives, how to deconstruct the limitations that we have put ourselves in. Our faith teaches us how to do that. But the way it teaches us how to do that is we first must look at it, we first must acknowledge it before we can turn away from it. We first must acknowledge that it's there. And then we begin to do the work to remove it. The mental work to remove it, the spiritual work to remove it, and the actual physical work to remove it. And then we can begin shifting and accepting what it is that we wish to experience, accepting what it is that we wish to see. There's a way of treating, it's called denial, right? It's called argumentative treatment, argumentative prayer, where first we deny that the problem is. We have to look at the problem and then we have to speak denial to it. We have to denounce it. We have to affirm that there is no power in it, and we have to denounce it. And then we speak affirmations. It's just another way of doing prayer. It's another way of still doing affirmative prayer, but from an argumentative place. Doing a prayer from a place as though you are arguing a case, arguing a point, to get the point across. And the argument that you're having, the person you're trying to convince, the person you're trying to convict is yourself. Your consciousness. So when folks are saying they can't breathe, we have to be able to hear that. We have to be able to acknowledge that. We have to be able to take that in and hear the fact of that. Not discount it, not spiritually bypass it. We have to be present with it. Because being mindful means to be fully, means our mind is fully in the presence. To be mindful, to practice mindfulness, means our minds are fully in the presence. The presence of the one. The presence with each other. The presence with life itself. There's a beautiful song that Jubel's going to sing in a few moments that is written by Ricky Byers called The Breath of God. The breath of God is breathing me, and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. I want you to take a moment and I want you to focus on your breath and feel the rise and fall of your breath, the in and out, the up, the down, the rise, the expansion, and the settling. Bring your attention to your breath for a moment. And recognize that the breath is the ever-givingness of God, the ever-givingness of spirit, the ever-givingness of life itself. That it is a divine flow, is a divine circulation. There is an inhale, a pause, and an exhale. A pause and an inhale. And we really don't need to take any thought for it. It just happens. Spirit is breathing us. But why we so often frequently come together when we go into meditation, we bring our awareness to our breath, is because our breath is an avenue of awareness for our consciousness. Our breath is an avenue of awareness for being fully present, for bringing our minds fully into the presence. Our breath serves as a reminder of our divinity. It serves as a reminder of the love of the divine, the unconditional love of the divine. It serves as a reminder of who we truly are. It serves as a reminder that Spirit is ever giving, that it withholds nothing, that it maintains and sustains its beloved creation. It is a divine gift that has been given. And so our breath reminds us, when we bring our consciousness to our breath, we are reminded that we are to give thanks, to be grateful for the breath of life, to be gracious in that knowing, that the grace of God maintains and sustains each one of us. And it reminds us that there are those who are no longer breathing, whose breath was taken from them. There are those of us who are now premature ancestors. The breath of life in this plane expunged from their bodies, stolen. And so we continue to breathe. We continue to breathe to honor them, to honor their life. We continue to breathe to pick up the work, to do the work, to make sure that it does not ever happen again. We use our breath to speak truth to power. We use our breath to raise our voice in song, to raise our voice in protest, to raise our voice in lament, to raise our voice in sorrow. We use our breath to energize us into action, to energize us into forward movement, to energize us into making the changes that are necessary, to energize us into deconstructing, to dismantling that which has never served. Never served. And we use our breath then to empower us, to embolden one another, to empower one another, to work together as a collective, to construct, to build a new earth, construct and build a new life, construct and build a new heaven here on earth. That is ours to do. We use our breath and we push like a mother in labor who uses the breath to bring forth life. So what is it this day that you are going to breathe life into? What is it this day that you are choosing to use your breath for the power of good? What in this day are you using your breath to push so that we may have life? A new way of life, a new way of being together. What are we bringing forth? That is as we take in a breath together, that is an inspiration, right? We are inspiring. It is an inspiration, meaning spirit is entering our body. It is an inspiration. So the high idea, the high vision is entering our body. And as it is in our body, we are conspiring with it. We are with spirit. We are moving with spirit. It is maintaining and sustaining us. We are aligned with spirit. We are conspiring. We are co-conspirators with spirit. We are with spirit. And as we release our breath, it's expiration. We are expiring. We are dying to the old. We are releasing that which no longer serves us, that which no longer nourishes us, that which no longer brings life. And the cycle happens again. Inspire, conspire, expire, inspire, conspire, expire, inspire, conspire, expire. Leaving behind those things that don't serve. Leaving behind those ideas, leaving behind those limitations, those beliefs in separation, leaving it behind and breathing in. So I ask you this day, what are you breathing in? What are you breathing in? What are you breathing in? And what are you letting go of? What are you expiring? Milk has an expiration date. A bag of potato chips has an expiration date. This way of systemic racism, this way of hatred, this way of supremacy is long past its expiration date. And it takes each one of us to release it and to bring something forth that is new, that is just. Alex says she's breathing in peace and unity. Yes, Alex. Beautiful. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. So today, please, in this week, please, I'm not just encouraging you to do this work. We need to be doing this work together. We need to allow our breath to be an avenue of awareness to awaken us to our truth, to awaken us to our humanity, to awaken us to our divinity, and act from that place. So I want to share with you a statement that Centers for Spiritual Living issued this week. I shared it on our Facebook page. I shared it also in an email in our weekly e-news, our Connect e-news that goes out every week. I want to share this with you. And this comes from, as I mentioned, Centers for Spiritual Living. So the statement reads, racism in the United States. Centers for Spiritual Living calls for it to end. We are grieving the lives that ought not to have been lost. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery are the most recent of a list of countless unarmed African American and Black people who have been murdered for the color of their skin over the past 400 years in the US. Too many generations have suffered, and it has never been, and it is not now, acceptable. We denounce racism in all of its forms, the starkness of unapologetic intentional racism, the racism of silence in the face of injustice, the systemic racism inherent in our education, justice, income, and opportunity inequity, and the racism that lies hidden in our individual hearts and minds. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors. We value a community-wide climate of safety that arises from compassion, justice, mutual respect, and kindness. Therefore, we join our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who, Echoing words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "You and I should form the habit of taking definite time each day to contemplate and affirm peace and justice. For there is no peace possible without justice. But faith without works is dead. We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing the best they have to the common purpose, each willing to make any sacrifice necessary. For there can be no individual self-preservation without the preservation of all." We call upon ourselves and the faith communities in the United States to take action that shows that we have heard the cry of the suffering, and we own our responsibility for it. Whether that action is prayer, donations to organizations that promote racial justice and equity, rigorous self-education, or active engagement, let not this moment in history pass us unattended. May the actions we take be steeped in peace and respect for the sacredness of each life, knowing that whatever we do, individually and collectively, must be divinely directed from a higher consciousness. When we apply our proven spiritual principles through rigorous practices and compassionate action, the desired results cannot fail to demonstrate. So today I invite you to breathe, and I invite you to take action. And then I invite you to breathe again and step forward again and take action. And then I invite you to breathe again, centering and grounding and anchoring in spirit, and then take action again. And breathe and allow your breath to breathe life into new life. Breathe life into a new way of being. Breathe life into a united state of consciousness that brings about real change. Real, honest to goodness change. As was said in the statement, we don't just do it for ourselves. We can't be preserving just ourselves without preserving the whole. So we must do this for each other. We must do it for those who have already given their lives so that their breath is not in vain. Peace and blessings to each of you. Let's come together in consciousness now. And so we enter into this united state of consciousness, this oneness, this wholeness, this absolute all in all, the divine perfection that is back of all of life, that is all of life itself. It is through this one mind, this one infinite love, intelligence, that all life was created, that all life came forth as a divine emanation and impartation, as a divine manifestation of itself. And what I know is that this one life is peace, is harmony, is justice. It is love. It is truth. It is the one power, the only power. And it makes itself known in a variety and in a myriad of ways, countless ways, infinite ways, each as a divine manifestation and impartation and demonstration of this one life. And so I know that it is the totality of my being. It is the very who of who I am. I am the power and the presence of love made manifest right here and now, as is each person within the sound of my voice, as is each person living, breathing, and moving on this planet, as in all life. It is true in the beginning. It is true now. It is true always, because there is only this one. And so I speak my word here and now. Recognizing because there is only one power, there is only one present, there is nothing else that could stand opposed to it. One with the one is the majority. There is only one life here happening here. There is nothing else. There is no power opposed to it. There cannot be. If there were two powers, then there would be constant conflict and there would be constant turmoil and there would be an absolute destruction of all of creation. Therefore, because I know that there is just this one, because I can see that life is eternal, I can see and I can know that life is always unfolding, is an evolutionary process. So that evolutionary process always moves forward in a more expansive way. There is no end, so there is no beginning, so there is no end. And because I know that, therefore, there cannot be a force, a power opposed to the one life, opposed to God. And so I look at the face, I stare into the face of a parent's separation. I stare into the face and I say no. No to the separation. I say no to the hatred. I say no to the supremacy. I say no to all of it. I say no, and that is a divine no. This cannot be. And so I call and I recognize the who of who each one is. I call upon the power and the presence within me, within each one of us to rise up, to speak words of love, to speak words of life, to speak the truth, to recognize itself in and as each one. I call upon this now. And so I know that there is a great awakening. I know that there is a great awareness that is happening in the consciousness, the collective consciousness around this planet. An awakening of the unity that is the truth of all life, an awakening of the oneness, an awakening of the wholeness. And I know that we are being called to release anything that is unlike that. And so in this moment, I simply breathe. And I allow myself to be breathed. And it is this breath, the breath of love, the breath of life, that I know and affirm, that I express, that I allow to have its way with me, and I say, use me. Use my voice, use my hands, use my life. For the divine and perfect unfoldment. I give thanks. I give thanks for the breath that breathes me. I give thanks for my union with the divine. I give thanks for my awareness. I give thanks for my awareness of my interconnectedness with my brothers and sisters and siblings. I give thanks for the awareness that we are truly one. I give thanks for the work of each one willing to step forward here and now, making themselves available, making their minds the avenue of awareness, making their life available to spirit for the collective rise. And I release this word, knowing it is fulfilled, for it could be no other way. And I say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Aho. Blessed be.
The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The grace of God is breathing me and resting in the grace of God, I know that all is well. The grace of God is breathing me and resting in the grace of God, I know that all is well. The joy of God is breathing me and resting in the joy of God, I know that all is well. The joy of God is breathing me, resting in the joy of God, I know that all is well. The love of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The joy in love is breathing me and resting in the joy of God, I know that all is well. I know that all is well. I know that all is well. I know that all is well.
Thank you, Jabel. So resting in the breath of God, we know that all is well. And so I remind you this day to, whenever you're feeling those butterflies, whenever you're feeling nervous, whenever you're feeling angry, whenever you're feeling sad, whenever you're feeling joy, come back to the breath and breathe. Allow yourself to be breathed. And remember that all is well. So I want to say thank you again. Our community is so blessed. We are so amazing. I just am so overwhelmed by your response, by your generosity, and by your love. And so we have a moment here to step into that generosity, to really step into the flow of life, the flow of circulation that the breath so beautifully represents, to share and to contribute to our beloved center, our Center for Spiritual Living, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. One of the easiest ways that you can contribute, of course, is to use your phone and text to give at 951-419-5858. Simply type in the amount and hit send, the way I just did. So that's the easiest way. Another super duper easy way is you go to our website and you click on the contribute spot there in the upper right hand corner of your screen. There's a space there there's a place there that says contribute, and you can easily fill in and contribute to the center that way. You can also, of course, set up recurring contributions. So again, I really, really, truly want to thank each and every one of you for the generosity that you continue to share with our community, your community. I'm so, so grateful to each one of you that allows us to keep doing the work that we are doing in the world together as a community. Thank you for that love. Thank you for that support. Thank you for that sacred yes of stepping into the flow. And so let's sing a song, a short song that expresses our gratitude for each other and for our lives. So Jabel, I bring you back.
I am so grateful, so grateful. I am grateful for the love that I have. I am so grateful, so grateful. I am grateful for the love that I have. I am so grateful, so grateful. I am grateful for the love that I have. I am so grateful, so grateful. I am grateful for the love that I have.
So just one brief announcement for you today. Next week, Sunday, the 14th, we will be having our quarterly community forum, and that will be on Zoom, and that'll be on our normal Zoom link for it after service. And once again, we will be live next week with that. That will be starting at noon next week. The quarterly forum will be starting at noon next week. But we will be going into our Zoom room for a little bit of chat and just connecting with one another prior to that, immediately following service, the way we're going to do today. So our Zoom, the ID number for that particular Zoom is 249-395-737. That's 249-395-737. So we look forward to seeing you immediately following service in our Zoom chat room. And then next week, as I mentioned, same link. And you can also find the link on our website, riversidecsl.org. There's a button there that you can just click and it'll click you right through. But at noon next week, we will be having our quarterly forum. We will be discussing what the summer looks like and where we currently stand in terms of, the health and vitality of our center. So I invite you into that forum next week at noon. So repeat after me. Something wonderful is breathing me right now.
Something wonderful is breathing me right now.
It is the breath of God.
It is the breath of God.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I share it.
I share it.
And I express it.
And I express it.
Because love lives here.
Because love lives here.
And so it is. Blessings, everybody. Breathe. Remember to breathe. Continue to breathe. Honor the lives of our beloveds. Honor the life of George Floyd. Honor the life of Breonna Taylor. Honor the life of Ahmaud Arbery. Continue to breathe.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing day. This healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing day. This healing day. Thank you for this day. Love you all. See you next week. Have a great day. Love lives.